But also at that time had a young family, bought a big house, huge mortgage, 3 young kids, and I felt pretty frustrated. And with that frustration, I was driving a little bit recklessly home one night down country lanes, and I managed to turn my the big 4-litre V8 Lexus upside down in a ditch. And the first thing I can remember, fortunately, was standing on the side of the road looking down at my upside down car thinking, what do I do now? And my arm was flapping from the shoulder and from everything else. And fortunately, there wasn't much blood. It's kind of tourniqueted itself. And I went and found some help. And to cut a long story short, the next day a surgeon apologises for amputating my arm at the elbow. And for me, that was good news because I thought I'd lost it all from the shoulder. It took 2 years to heal from that. And I was lucky to be alive and lucky that I was always left-handed.
Firm of figures knows your money, cuts down on strife. Time to trust your future. Firm of figures, love your life.
My guest today is the founder of Meaningful Success. He has previously built 2 multi-million-pound businesses from startup by getting clear on purpose. However, he did so at the expense of the rest of his life and subsequently everything unraveled. Tim took time out to reassess what went wrong and wrote 2 books, which we'll talk about a little later. And these were to show you how you can live your life and business together on purpose so they mutually support each other. This is true meaningful success. What he does is he helps people run both their business and their life with purpose. He believes that when businesses are run with a clear purpose to make positive impact beyond the creation of profit alone, and when this is done by deliberate design, that is on purpose, businesses can become a powerful force for good. To be truly fulfilled, business leaders need purpose in their life as well. And when they do, their lives become immeasurably richer and an inspiration for us all. And today you are going to be inspired by my guest, better known as Turnaround Tim Johnson. So thanks again for coming, Tim. It's going to be a real pleasure. I'm looking forward to this one. And as I said, I intend not to do too much talking because I'm going to take away from your great story. So let's back up a bit. Tell us about Meaningful Success today, and then it will give us some context as to how you arrived here.
Well, Meaningful Success today is around helping people access their smarts and deliver those in a way using online technologies. Because it's working, trying to always get new clients, deliver stuff one-to-one, working on an hourly rate is hard work. And particularly people who are relatively new starting out, so used to the employment model and thinking, well, if I double my hourly rate, I'm going to be able to work less hours and make the same amount of money. And what they don't realize is when you're running your own business that you don't get paid for hunting for work. You don't get paid for doing your admin. You don't get paid for doing your accounts. You only get paid for the work you deliver. And all those other things take time and they also cost money. So if you're trying to work on an hourly rate, it becomes problematic because most people can't bill 40 hours in a week. And if they did, then they've got to fill in all the other stuff around it. And suddenly they're working 60 hours a week to be able to bill 40 hours a week.
There's something you put in which really struck a chord with me. I think I might print it off and put it on my wall. And you say, life is too short to grind it out at work just to pay bills. Yeah, that's what many of us do. Many people set up their own business to gain the freedom and wealth that entrepreneurialism promises, but find themselves working more hours for less money under more stress. The uncertainty of income saps confidence, making success that much harder to achieve. And what really struck me about that is that, one, it's a shock to people. It's like childbirth. No matter how much you try and describe labor, you never can unless someone's been through it. And I think running your own and starting your own business is the same. Everybody thinks they can do it better than their boss or you.
Yeah.
You know, they've got, what do you mean you haven't made 6 figures? It's been 5 years.
Absolutely.
What's wrong with you? And then they do it and it's like, holy cow. So that's what struck me about that. But what was the real thing about that was it's an equal opportunity stress level, whether you're at the beginning, you have got 6 figures, or you're heading up into the 7 where you may have more of a team, a bit more systems. That feeling of your confidence sapping. And sometimes the more you're making, the worse it is what struck me with that. So within meaningful success, how are you addressing that? And what are some of the 2 or 3 things that you are fundamentally trying to bring to a customer who is dealing with that, regardless of what level?
I wish I could get into a soundbite, but it's multifaceted because actually we're so used to people selling instant success systems and you can be a gazillionaire overnight and just follow my exact same steps. Actually, building a successful business takes time and it doesn't happen overnight. But the way it can work and work really well is when you get your fundamental foundations properly thought through and in place, and then you can build on those year on year. And that includes stuff with your own mindset so that you've got sort of more self-peace. Includes more about your confidence and relationships so that you actually have more presence when you're dealing with people and therefore more influence. And as you free up your business so that you're making more money in less time and less stress, then you start to free up the possibilities, which is the whole law of attraction side of stuff, and thinking, the envisioning the future and better possibilities. And so for me, that's 4 sides of a tetrahedron, or 4 sides of a pyramid, where you've got your business, your personal stuff, your relationship stuff, and the future possibility stuff. How do you want to be? What do you want to become? Because a lot of people who have kind of, quote unquote, made it, they get to a point where it's just becoming Groundhog Day, and you just, they may be so-called successful and making the money, which is what they set out to do, but they've bought themselves a job, and they're just sort of turning up and feeding everybody else and being chief firefighter, and that's fun and exciting to start with. But when you've done it for a few years, it's like, do I have to do this every day? Yeah. How do I get out of this? You can't change jobs because you own it.
Yeah, so you have to. And it's a really, really good point, actually, because I found when I started to make changes, like you say, normally you just change jobs. Now you realize, actually, you've just got to get rid of it. How do I say? It's not change job. You've got to change the company completely and start again. So it's like, rather than leaving IBM, you shut it down because it's the only way you can escape. Or sometimes, like you said, the foundations are so flawed, it's not even worth trying to renovate it, I suppose. Knock it down and start again. But anyway, I'm desperate to get into your story because it's so good, and it really is. And feel free, I'm at the mercy of your time because I think you should tell it in your way. So, if you go back to before Tim became Turnaround Tim, and I don't know at what stage you got, how quickly it was between starting out and your successes with the multi-million-pound, which some people will know of. But if you go to, right, I'm Tim, this is me at whatever age, and my journey is beginning. And all the warts and all, because I know you're not afraid to tell all the dirty down low warts and all stories. So go for it and entertain us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll start right from when I was, a kid at home. I was the youngest of 5 in a single parent family, and we were on benefits at the time, and some money was really important. And I remember doing some babysitting for the people across the road, and they found a note the following morning about saying that I must find ways of making more money. Apparently I'd written, one of these things I'd heard about later. And so when it came to sort of, I did the traditional, schooling, education, O-levels degree, and when I came out, I kind of realized I wasn't smart enough to play the big company politics. I always landed out in smaller businesses after a couple of years as in a large one. And then I thought the only way I'm going to make any money is actually to have my own business. So I had an opportunity to engineer my own redundancy. This was back in the 1990s. And I used that to buy myself into a small failing joinery company, which had one client that had gone out of business. And I brought in some new work from the company I previously worked for. And we set out to be the first UK manufacturer of this particular type of cupboard system that was traditionally imported from Germany. And so we did. And so we took that company from 200,000 to 4 million turnover, 50 staff, 40,000 square foot of factory with state-of-the-art modern machinery. And we became the market leading UK manufacturers of this particular type of cupboard system. And you think, think about meaningful success and how do you get excited about a cupboard? How do you get your sort of passion and enthusiasm about cupboard systems? Well, actually, if you give something your full attention and you're looking to how to improve and how to develop, you become passionate about what you focus on, you get more of. And one of the things about manufacturing is it's now such a tiny proportion of the UK economy, but actually you have to do a whole bunch of functions because you've still got to find customers. You've got to go and find out what their needs are, measure it up, do a site survey. You've got to order in all the materials. You've got to have staff and machinery and stuff to convert them into your final product. So you've got to wrap them up properly, make sure you've got all the right bits, deliver them halfway across the country, send us a bunch of guys to fit them and install them and make sure it's all nice and tidy and properly complete. And then you've got to bill it and all the rest of it. And of course, the financing of a manufacturing business is steeped with all sorts of challenges because you're spending all your money up front and you have to wait a long time before you get it in. So, has lots and lots of challenges, manufacturing, whereas the service industry is in many ways a lot simpler. But back in 2001, a dark November night, I did have to, when you're running, I was effectively the MD running this operation, 4 million turnover, 50 staff. That's a lot of mouths to feed. That's a lot of responsibility. And, there's quite a pressure with that. And also at that time had a young family, bought a big house, huge mortgage, 3 young kids. And I felt pretty frustrated. And with that frustration, I was driving a little bit recklessly home one night down country lanes. And I managed to turn my, the big 4-litre V8 Lexus upside down in a ditch. And the first thing I can remember, fortunately, was standing on the side of the road, looking down at my upside down car, thinking, what do I do now? And my arm was flapping from the shoulder and from everything else. And fortunately, there wasn't much blood. It's kind of tourniqueted itself. And I went and found some help. And to cut a long story short, the next day a surgeon apologises for amputating my arm at the elbow. And for me, that was good news because I thought I'd lost it all from the shoulder. It took 2 years to heal from that. And I was lucky to be alive and lucky that I was always left-handed.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was useful.
Funny, how strange is that?
Yeah.
Not that it's a good thing, but you couldn't make that up. Oh.
Yeah.
And you say it tourniqueted itself.
Yeah, because it spun round and it sort of tied everything into its own knot.
Okay.
So so that was quite a challenge because then my luck ran out. I got MRSA, superbug thing. My business partner terminated my directorship whilst I was in hospital. We had a good old litigation battle over the value of my shareholding.
I've been there.
And it took me a long time to recover. I had a huge, great frame on my arm for nearly 2 years. I went back to university. I took an MBA. I trained as a mediator, having gone through litigation, and decided to set up a business called Business Mediation at the time. And that was taking business strategy and conflict management, putting the two together, and I was going to unlock dysfunctional boards of directors and affect business turnaround. I've got this sort of turnaround idea going around. And I thought it was a great idea. And I went off to Business Link, as it then used to be, said, how do you set up your own business? Because this was yes, early 2000s, so sort of 15 years ago or so. And I said, oh, we go networking. So off I trotted and went networking. And there was, at that time, basically there was BNI and the Chamber of Commerce. That was about it. And so I dutifully did my stuff. And after a few months, I was thinking, I'm getting zero business. I mean, you know, everyone pretends everything's great and all the rest of it, and says, that's very interesting, I'm sure to let you know. And you know, everybody sort of pumps up their chests and good fight, as they do in sort of networking circles, or less so now. But and I thought, well, this isn't working. This is, you know, if I project the first 6 months, then this doesn't make for a successful business at all. So I landed out doing a debt solution franchise and helping people out of debt, and which was much easier consultancy to sell, because there are plenty of people who they have enough pain that they want to take advice.
So was that you by yourself, or was it, you say, part of a bigger?
Part of a franchise, but I mean, as it was, I landed out getting a letter of intent to become a shareholder. I was given a business card as a director, and yet somehow these were always promises tomorrow. But along the way in this networking circles, I met this young, energetic Mancunian guy who just bristled with energy, this guy called Brad Burton.
No.
And he said, we met a few times and had a few conversations, and then one day he says, look, I want to set up the largest networking group in Somerset, and I want you to help. I said, you don't need my help. You know, with your energy, you'll piss it. Just get on with it. Mm-hmm. He said, no, I really want your help. I said, okay, if you've got the drive, energy and passion to create a national network, then you've got yourself a deal. You put bums on seats, I said, and I'll make it happen. And that was the starting conversation for networking. So we always had this clear vision. We're going to create a national network. Because
you were there pretty much at the beginning of Fawn.
Well, absolutely.
Or the beginning, should we say, pretty much.
Pre-beginning, if you like. I mean, I know it's subsequently been airbrushed out of history, but, you know, that's just life.
Because in my head, I always saw Brad go off. And then as he went along, the branches started to be added. So, okay, so you've clarified that. Yeah, that part of the story. Okay,
sure. Yes, the story's kind of, the original story's got. It's in his first book a little bit, but it's subsequently got changed. But hey, that's just like.
Indeed.
Okay. But I mean, starting for networking, it's a membership business, which is actually a great model, membership models, which is something I want to help other people develop for themselves, which you can do with information products. But but it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I carried on doing the debt solution stuff for 2 years before I actually got paid when I worked doing for networking, and actually helped finance for networking in the early days. But then when you start building that business, it becomes a recurring revenue model, and it's great fun when it. Been in a growing business, and you mentioned Tamsin earlier on. She joined as a director, and so did Terry Cooper, and we came sort of like the four of us with different ages, different sexes, different backgrounds, different abilities, and whilst we were all pulling together for this common aim of creating a national network, that was a clear purpose. We had a ball, an absolute ball. We played to each other's strengths. We picked up each other's weaknesses. We worked as a really strong, high-performing team, and it's a wonderful feeling. And we created, the timing was amazing with For Networking, because when we started Facebook and LinkedIn had just about existed. Facebook hadn't started, Twitter hadn't started, and not in the UK. And we were the first people to bring online and offline networking and put them together. Academy are doing quite well online, and everybody else is doing stuff offline, but we were the first to bring the thing together. And then we had the joined up network, the Passport membership, which was an innovation at the time. But nowadays, people say, well, why don't you start another network? Well, why would you? Because the market's changed. Anyone can set up a network group.
Yeah.
It's so easy. There's too many networking groups on every street corner. It's all about timing. And the timing now for businesses is about actually utilizing the online stuff. Because
So
80% of businesses are now in the service sector for the GDP.
Yeah, that is which is quite amazing, and hence one of the reasons, like you said, when you said you know, why would you set something up like that? When I loved for networking, and I'm an ex-BNI, so for networking was like going on holiday.
Yeah,
I was like, blimey, you're allowed to do this. I'm not coming this week. It's okay. And I was part of the membership team for BNI. So not only I was one of those stick waving, why aren't you here, people. And so Fortnite was like, oh, I can play. But what was at the time? Well, I mean, I can't not BNI because to this day I still earn from it and the people I met there. So I say respect because it was about business, no messing. Fortnite was a little bit more fluid, but the same way the relationship's still now. But you could walk in there and there would be businesses. And like you say, with the service thing, there's so many people all on the hunt now. So even starting a network isn't even so much about the collaboration and bringing together great minds. And because what I got from BNI and for networking were collaborators and people I could work with and refer to and so on. Now everybody's trying to sell, so everybody's walking in there looking for the managing director of ICI or one of the, you know, let's come down a bit, but you know what I mean, or your guy that has 4 shops, but what's in there are all the people who are on Facebook putting out blogs and so on. So just by the very audience, it's hard to put something, and the barrier to entry, because if you think about what you went through to start for networking, it's nothing like that to get that kind of traction. I mean, it's quite phenomenal what you guys did, really. Think about it. It's absolutely mind-blowing, really. You know, that's definitely a... And so coming from that with the landscape as it is now, bear in mind, so you came out of for networking. In fact, how did you leave there? Let's go back a bit. Let's not kill your story.
Well, we said we had always this vision from day one about creating a national network. And what I'd kind of taken for granted is why. And when we did, Brad and I had a difference of opinion because for him it was all about him and being a platform for his books and being a speaker and so on. And whereas Tamsin and I thought it was for the business and personal development of its members. And we'd created this thing called the 4M Way, which had mapped out the journey from joining to all the way through the different membership levels with the different training and so on, and how you take you from a place of sort of, scarcity and fear to a place of, peace, love and abundance. And it was a complete sort of pathway through Maslow's hierarchy with the processes, with the culture. It was an amazing piece of work, actually. And but that didn't fit.
Okay.
So Brad had more shares, so we had a vote, and another litigation battle ensued.
See, every bit of experience adds to our ability. You're a fully fledged corporate lawyer by the end of this.
Yeah, indeed. In my life, I've spent an absurd amount of money with lawyers, and a couple of years ago, I landed out when my kids sort of got. Youngest got to GCSE levels, it kind of the cracks in the marriage we'd held them together for too long, and so we had third round of lawyers with sort of going through divorce. So
oh my gosh!
The earlier introduction. That's where everything else starts unraveling. So you built 2 multi-million-pound businesses, you recover from an accident, you get back up again, build another one that falls back, have an argument, fall back down, and then you land out getting divorced. It takes time to recover through that because it's like your whole foundations from a sort of personal perspective, if you like. But it's been through those kind of dark moments and the contrast from having all the previous success to then kind of being on my own in a rented flat in Bristol, thinking, how the hell did I land out here? And that's where I wrote my first book, which was called The Success Book. And
hold on, you're in a rented flat, thinking, how did I get here? And you wrote The Success Book.
Yeah.
Okay, just
And actually, it's great. And actually, it's funny. It's part of a series, but it's almost like how to get from the darkness into the light. From the black into the yellow.
And is that on Amazon right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I'll put a link in.
Several thousand copies. So
I'll get lovely. I must get hold of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And but that also looks at how you deal with adversity. How do you deal with setbacks? How do you manage yourself when things go wrong? And as well as mapping out how to be successful. But that makes it quite an interesting success book, because most of the success material out there is all about rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it. Just think high. Just think big. Just aim. Shoot for the stars and you land out at the moon.
So go big or go home.
All that. Setbacks. Just roll with the punches. Da 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 da. You know what? And I think those kind of messages, whilst I think they're well intended, they're kind of, there's an underlying thing, that actually, well, if you're not on top of your game and rolling with the punches and making gazillions, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you've got Prince Harry now talking about mental health issues 20 years after losing his wife, his mother,
which is so amazing, because it just goes to show. And you think about it, he must have done. He must have done. You know what I mean? So I am so, I hate to use the word inspired because it's so overused, but I can't think of the word. But I'm really touched, actually.
It's heartening, isn't it?
That's the word, heartening. I'm really touched that he shared that, because we've got to stop masking all the time. Doesn't mean you want to go around being doom and gloom.
No.
But we cannot keep feeling inadequate because we have something that ails us internally or makes us feel less than other people. That comparison thing is a killer.
So corrosive. Eats away. And and I see I've been very wealthy and also very poor at different times of my life, and actually my happiness has not been particularly well correlated with them.
Okay.
It's obviously lots of things are easier when you've got plenty of money, but actually you start to worry about, I've become more aloof, more arrogant, less approachable, if you like. Less, you're less connected to life because you can insulate yourself.
I had never thought of it that way. Yes, you don't have to. It's like celebrities, they can hide away from the real opinions of people because of you create people around you who mirror what you want to hear.
And also, take celebrities you tend to live in a bigger house with gated perimeters, and you land up living in splendid isolation. Well, is that living? So these things are, and then I think, well, is this it? Is that what they really wanted? Because one of the challenges about success is when it takes off, it tends to accelerate. It's a bit of a hockey stick, and so you can, once you get through sort of £500,000 turnover sort of thing, getting to $1 million to 2 million to 3 million, it grows and grows and grows. Because you've got yourself traction, you've got yourself a model, you've got things that people are working, you've got more money to reinvest, you get to feel more confident. As you get to feel more confident and competence, those kind of things work together, and so it rolls. And then suddenly you can have a meteoric rise. And it's, if you're not sorted out your stuff inside, then that can be tricky.
So someone is, which is what I come across a lot, because like I said, I've got two sides to what I do. The company, the business side, which tends to be done for you, the financial side, that's kind of easy, to be honest with you. It's most of my clients are male, middle class. They go in, they get up every day, go into their office with their staff, and it's been quite a revelation for them to work with a virtual person or virtual service. So they think they're really online, they're not. It's still paper and so forth. But they're very easy because they always see a return on investment. They are grafting, working really hard, but they can leave every night to turn the light off. And if they're sick for a couple of days, they are still stressing, but Jenny in the office can get on with work. Then you have the other side of the spectrum where the entrepreneurial mind, and I'm ignoring the fast growth startups, and your average person maybe got made redundant or thinks, I could do better than my boss. It's been 3 years. It's been 4 years. You're still making money, but it's not doing this.
Yeah.
And you're following people. You're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, I don't know, Instagram, whatever. And people seem to be doing this. You go to all the conferences, you join this thing, you buy this program, and it's just not what you thought it would be. Help me.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of people are going through. And that's why I love the Prince Harry thing, because that's on a personal level. But people aren't saying they help me. And I know from personal experience, the calls that I take and the calls that I get from people, that's why I don't really do a lot of testimonials and so on. Because I'm like, I've got a call from a so-and-so, and they come in saying, I made 6 figures last year, and I don't know where any of it is. I'm behind with the VAT. My wife's barely speaking to me. I don't, and so on and so on and so on. You think, what is this all about? So with all these things to think about, the tactical side, strategy and mindset and so on, I'm sure I know what you're going to say. I've come to you, or John has come to you, or Jennifer has come to you. Where do we begin? And we're not at your stage. We're not in a flat. Because most people aren't. It's pretty much the mundane day to day. Nobody could tell. Brad actually used to say this thing about people turning up at network and they park the dodgy car around the corner down the road and walk taxi. Didn't want anyone to see what they were driving. And that is such a great analogy of how people are living. And with online, it's worse now. At least at 4 networking, you could park the car, no one knew anything about you. Now they can Google you. I thought he said, So with all this lack of congruency, and it's feeling like a fraud and imposter syndrome, blah, 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 blah. How do you start with somebody sitting in front of you and say, where do you just begin to just get a hold on what you should be thinking about or what you should do, just to get like you've got some foothold in your life as an entrepreneur?
It starts with getting back to basics, and what are the important things in your life and your business, and doing less and doing it better. But that's, it's easier said than done, of course. But it's like, well, okay, what's the game? What do you want to achieve? And because also time changes things. What was important to me in my 30s was different to what was important in my 40s, and as I get into my 50s now, it's like it's different again. And so, but if people are not making money, which is often the case, or not making enough money, traction, it's like, okay, what kind of clients you're trying to serve? What's the benefit you give them? What are your smarts? How do you package that up? And how can you start to put this in a pre-recorded fashion, if you like, so you can lead people down the steps? In other words, you make it once as an information style product, even if it's supporting the work you do face to face, but you can get the preparation work done. You do it really well. Record it online. You've created it once, use it many times. So that can help from an automated marketing sequence, for example. Which means you're not spending so much time scrabbling around finding marketing, because you're actually creating valuable content that leads people down a path, pre-educates people about the value of working with you, but also gets people to understand the way you work. And it also means the people who dig like you and like the work you do are more likely to want to work with you, because they've kind of already done some work with you. Then you can start building in terms of your delivery. If you're doing consultancy training, if you've got a message, say if you're a speaker, an author, that kind of thing, then, or even if you're an accountant, how many times will an accountant say, this is how you do your books, or this is what I want you to do, or the reminders for the VAT returns, or the monthly accounts, or the whatever program you want to be. But actually, rather than getting on the phone and saying that, you can automate that. And so, and you can say, actually, this is, if you want to remember how to prepare this bit of information, here's a little video on how to do it.
Do you know something as well, as you say, that revolutionized my life? And even now, because first time I ever did it It's exactly what you're saying. It's the same thing, the chasing and it's worse if you're doing the bookkeeping side as well, because it's every month and there's always something missing. Yeah. And I started to do these little videos, and I started to do them for my VA so that she could do the chasing. I mean, it was like just me on my own. So she could do the chasing, like you say, you do it once and so on. And I had my first real big consultancy client who I started to do an audit. So I check what you do first before I will say we'll take you on. So now I'm on the other side of the coin, like, I'll let you know if I really want to work with you, because moving into the cloud it's a mindset, and I have fun with my clients anyway. And I sat and I did a whole little mini course on just how to save your digital stuff in Dropbox. I must put that out. I don't know why I keep it hidden. I just give it to people for free as my clients. Yeah. And just and I just taught them through it the first time and gave them, I did a standard operating procedure manual to go with it. And that used to be, right, on a Skype call, okay, I'm going to do the screen with you, or I'd send back and forth loads, and over months and months, it would iron itself out. Yeah. And with companies, it's even easier because the MD is never going to look at it. You know, when you say to someone, give that to your manager, or he's like, oh, I don't even have to do it. So there's part of their operating procedure already done. So I would give it away, and it changed I don't do it anymore. There's absolutely no need to do that onboarding thing and it wasn't I was being clever. I just got fed up of repeating myself absolutely over and over again. And then people think you're rubbish, because there's nothing worse than you're trying to service a customer and you're meant to make their life easier. And actually a lot of the time with service businesses, it's messy before it irons out. So then you're conscious of, they're not going to appreciate that I'm actually helping them, because I've actually made their chaos was organized chaos. Now I've just added to their chaos. Sure. So you have to bring in something that looks, even right up front, to be honest with you, where you straight away, here's a bit of value. You don't have to do this, and you can share this in your company. And that changed. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm thinking, why do I keep all of that hidden, really? Yeah. And I could just put that out on my course, and just, charge for it, but And
of course, as you say, you put it part of onboarding, or you put it as part of your marketing strategy. Yeah. Because actually the people who like, oh yeah, I like the way she thinks, I like the way she works, I dig that. That makes sense.
Yeah. But it is, because that's not what all of that, because especially with your scarcity mindset, everything you do for a client you see as chargeable. And sometimes you just have to let things drop, just educate them where you would have charged for that part of the education. You can't keep saying, here's £40, £50, £100 an hour because I was on the phone with you and it took up my time, because it's just not, just get them the results. So, but I can see why a business like yours would work as well, because even in a profession like mine with finances, we're accountants, financial advisors and bookkeepers, where we're the ones advising, we still don't do it. Yeah. We are still timesheets, billing. Yeah. Everybody that comes to me that I take on gives me an hourly rate. I'm flabbergasted. Yeah. And I say, have you used this particular software? Do you use Receipt? Because I automate. I say to my clients, I'm not going to lie to you. We don't sit and do transactions like we used to and type in all the bank transactions. Where we can, it's all automated. Sure. And then we go in and we do stuff. I'm not going to lie. And I charge more than I did in the early days. But when I have people come along and I say, have you tried, I don't know, Receipt Bank? I've heard of it. You're kidding me. You really? You've heard of it. Huh? Do you? No, technology, far from taking away our opportunities, has made them bigger.
Well, if you're spending your time just, data entry or reconciling bank accounts and what have you, or putting the feeds in, that's not great value. If you've managed to get people organized with Dropbox and Receipt Bank and Xero or whatever programs you use, and you've automated the bank feeds and so on, so all the grind is kind of almost done by itself, then you can start having meaningful conversations about, well, where's the money coming and what are you doing next? How are you going to finance this? How are you going to and add value to those conversations?
Yeah, that's the fun bit. But you see, and the thing is, because we keep saying that my profession to a great degree is commoditized. But like you say, those conversations, it's like, George, haven't we had a quarterly meeting? Because it's normally somewhere really nice. So it's all like, where are we going this time? And I'm like, you just want to go and eat dinner at and so. But literally now the meetings are half an hour and we drag that out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, so how's the family?
Yeah.
Whereas before, the meetings were, I'm still waiting for the bank statements that for 3 months. Oh, really, are you? It's one of those.
Yeah.
It's completely changed. And I have much more fun with them now. So that changed a lot. But I don't know how you educate people to that when there is such resistance, even in the professions who, for want of a better word, should know better. So how do you, or do your customers come to you already kind of mentally sold?
Well, that's
for change.
That's the whole value of giving some of your training and education as part of your marketing, because you're educating them not only value for themselves, but you're also educating them about your take on the world and how you operate and the value that you provide. And so as you do that as part of your marketing, everybody wins, because actually some people are going to like it and say, yeah, I really like your thinking. I like your approach. I want to work, I want to consider working more with you, as opposed to, nah, I'm not interested in that. Well, you've done that automated. If somebody doesn't like you, they don't like your approach, and they want to stick to the old ways in paper systems and so on, that's great. They work that out themselves, so they're
not wasting your time.
Not wasting your time. So it works both ways. It's filtering.
Yeah.
So that the people you have conversations with have already checked you out.
So how do you, in your business, and to help someone who's sitting there thinking, well, especially coaches, because there are a lot of people that are in my space who are coaches and so on. So they've taken that on board. They may already be putting things out there and so on. So that's one element. What's another element of trying to get people into your funnel, your sales funnel, that you have found quite useful, for want of a better word? If it's to give me another thing outside of the education that could attract people to you and your business, particularly as a coach and consultant.
Well, the whole thing around people putting stuff out there, they feel they've got to just plant stuff out there. One of the guys I worked with was Tom Evans. He's quite well known, but he puts he was putting just masses and masses of content out, and but it didn't really lead people down a path.
Okay.
And so it's about, actually, this is where about your business on purpose is not only just working out what your purpose is, so you got with purpose, but on purpose is you're deliberately guiding people down a path. And that was, for networking was quite easy, because we had a really simple product that B&I had already created the market, and we just don't, we're like them, but nicer. And these are the differences. So it was a very easy sell. The problem with coaching, consulting, is there's so many people out there and trying to do stuff, is that you kind of need to be much more specific. And this is trying to think about the end result. What are you going to, when you work, after you finish working with me, you're going to be this much better in some tangible way. So, and the challenge is because ultimately most people are selling, or ought to be, so more money, less time, less stress, which is what I do, which is utilizing good old fashioned business strategy, which has helped me build 2 multi-million-pound businesses in different industries, with the modern tools that online offers us. And then, so you got those two aspects on the business side, but then you got all the stuff on the personal side with relationships and arms and litigation and the sort of the dark discovery journeys I've gone on my own, and fairly intensive personal development journey. Because actually, as you said earlier, when you've worked out the numbers for people, it's the stuff about actually their marriages are falling apart. All the kids are playing up at school. There's all manner of stuff going on which nobody talks about. And actually, these things impact your business, because if you want to be on fire in your business and coming from your creative prefrontal cortex, really making things happen, if your world's falling apart when you go back home, you're not going to be in an effective
I'm
place.
going to do it. And because I'm struggling with it, so I'm in a therapy session now with Tim, because my struggle is mine is empathy.
Yeah.
I like to say compassion as well, but it really is empathy. Every time someone's talking, now I didn't have multi-million-pound businesses, but I ran big businesses. I've done the same. And I remember the director there, the litigation, the shareholding, been through it all. In fact, when I finally walked away and worked for myself, I was tired of the infighting. And this director and that director and this shareholder and this money was leaving and just drive me mad. And I just wanted to be alone. That's what I know, it was just be by myself and do. So I knew what was happening the next day and so on. But there's so many, I didn't really lose the house, but at the time it felt like we were going to lose everything and so on and whatever. So when people are speaking, I'm like, I know. And as you say, educating people online, I was very linear, very practical. But there's so much I could share, and I struggle with putting out too much. But it's when I put out the bits about myself that I get the feedback. So it's very difficult. Sometimes we don't want to be oh my God, it's her again. What happened to her this time? This is the fifth man that she hasn't got a lot, or she's lost another business, or this house has been let. It become, but most of the stories that people resonate with. So it's difficult to know how personal to get without being too, opening too much of yourself, where where you draw the line. Because those are the conversations that I've had people sitting here crying, grown men, I'm going, you've been done to do that, haven't you? And that's what pulls it out. So that's what I'm struggling with at the moment, is I'm pulling back a bit, but I'm also aware that I'm not as authentic as I could be because I'm censoring.
Yeah, I must admit, I struggle with this one too. I mean,
Tim, you're supposed to help me.
In for networking, they used to call me the wizard behind the curtain. And that's why I'm actually great at supporting people develop their businesses, because actually I don't have this ego thing trying to say it's me. No, I'm the guy that helps from behind. But when it comes to my own marketing, that's that's my personal bête noire, if you like, and. But which is where valuable content that leads people down a path is what I'm working on for myself and developing, because it resonates with me. It means it's purposeful. And then I just introduce elements of my story, because so people understand where I'm coming from. It's different in a podcast because it's more of a long conversation. It's discursive, but in general marketing, I mean, it's like no one's interested in you, are they?
No,
everyone's interested in
themselves. Yeah.
So and it's like, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? It's that classic one.
So only insofar as it pushes them along or moves them along. So
that they can relate to you, they can think, actually, she understands, he understands. But if you think, me and my world's falling apart, life's grim, that's not it doesn't inspire confidence. And the sad thing is that, we mentioned Prince Harry earlier on. He tells his story after he's come out the other side.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we do. That's what
all these rags to riches stories. You never hear them when they're in
when
the
it's going.
They never say, my world's falling apart, I've got bailiffs at the door, and whatever else on the sob story. Come and work with me. No, they don't.
And unless you've got a fitness journey where, watch me as I lose a pound a week or something. And in fact, somebody who I won't mention, who we both know really well, who's very successful, and said to me, I'm happy to come on your show. I'd love to come and talk about the journey. Who says it's far enough behind me now where it's not as painful. Exactly. So I can talk about it now, because because a lot of people don't know that this happened behind the scenes with this person, that because they're seen it here. And it was, so we had one, and he said, do you realize? And I went, no way. He said, no, for real.
Yeah.
And he is a go-to person. He was like, no, totally. But I can talk about it now. I said, so if I'm happy to do it one day. And I was like, well, okay, I'm honored, because a lot of people will be like, really? You?
Absolutely.
No chance.
But it's easy for them to say once they've gone through it.
Yes.
When
yes.
you're in that place,
Yeah.
then there's an element of sharing, understanding that other people may be in that place, but putting your heart on your sleeve, saying your world's falling apart, probably not a good marketing strategy.
Indeed. And on that note, Tim, there's your soundbite for you. So what does your business look like now? Is it someone works with you? Is it with you? Is it with a team? Or
I used to say in for networking, first time I said it to a room of 100 one-man bands, was that one-man bands don't work. Because actually none of us have got a full toolkit. It's you're only accountable to yourself. We always let ourselves off the hook, and it can be lonely and isolating. We tend to be much more creative, bouncing ideas off people and so on. But having gone through 2 business partners and a life partner, I've had enough of this partnership business. Actually, I'm going to see if I can make this one-man band business work.
This is one-man band thing work.
And actually, I'm going to package my smarts, put them into a product form that allows me to deliver more value to more people. And so that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Tim, it's been an education. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a delight. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you again.